Hello all and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be part 1 of Lulu's Dress from Final Fantasy X. I fell in love with this game when it first came out in 2001, and then I bought the remastered version for PlayStation 4 and fell in love with it again. However, this time my daughter has seen the game as well and fell in love with the character Lulu and asked me to make the dress for her. So first off, I don't have a pattern for it, so I have to make one. So I took the dress dummy that I have that's approximately her size, covered it with plastic wrap and tape. My daughter likes to help, so here she is helping me put tape on there. She did a pretty good job. This dress form is for a 6 to 8 year old. My daughter's 6, but she is not a typical size 6-year-old. She actually is more the size of a 4-year-old, but the height of a 6-year-old. So this is about 3 inches too big for her. So I know I'm going to have to cut down the mock-up that I make off this. I did purchase this dress form through Amazon for about $59. If you would like to purchase one of your own, I will go ahead and have the link below. Now it's time to use the reference image and make the pattern on the tape and plastic wrap. Since Lulu's dress is so low cut and made for a woman with a decent chest size, and my daughter, being 6 years old, doesn't have that, I will be using clear elastic straps to help hold it up. Since there's fur on the top portion of Lulu's bodice corset, I decided to draw out where the fur was and where the corset fabric starts, and then redraw it again where I wanted the fabric underneath the fur to hit on my daughter. I also drew parts of the skirt portion. I didn't actually use them though. I just used them to give me kind of an idea of where they're going to be placed. The bodice pattern is 6 pieces, and then the skirt I have the 1, but like I said, I didn't really use that skirt portion. This project cost me nothing since I already had all the materials at my house. This sheet is an old sheet that I'm cutting up right now. I'm going to be using it as mock-up fabric to make the pattern out of, and eventually the lining of the strip. This was a fitted sheet, so I'm just cutting off the elastic around the edges. So I placed the 6 pieces for the bodice on the fabric, and I am giving myself about a ½ inch seam allowance on it, which after the first fitting I didn't need to put that seam allowance on it since, like I said before, the dress form was already big enough. And I cut 2 of each piece, one for the left side and one for the right side. I started pinning everything together, starting with the center front pieces first and then working my way out. It's kind of nice working on a pattern that actually has no curves to it. When I make my own corsets and fitted items, there's a lot more curves and it's kind of hard to ease everything together. Since Lulu's dress is a corset back and kind of hard to get into, I decided to put a front closure on the bodice to make it easier to get in and out of. I will still have the lacings in the back though. I sewed each piece on with a straight stitch. Here's the final mock-up after the fitting and cutting it down. I had to cut it down about 6 inches, so about 3 inches per side. Now I'm making the mock-up for the skirt. Since it's a high-low skirt, I took her waist measurements and marked them out, and then I took about 8 inches in the front. That's the front panel. That's going to be the short part of the skirt. I also didn't want the skirt to be as long as Lulu's because she's a klutz and will trip over the tail end of it, so I just made it come down to the floor, which was about 25 inches. I also cut it down, the short skirt from the long part of the skirt, and then I cut the back part in half and the sides because I'm replicating the seams that are actually on Lulu's dress. The back of Lulu's dress has this little cutout, and I'm also replicating that on the back of the skirt, which is a good idea to add since I'm going to be making this dress all one piece. The skirt will be connected to the bodice, and that little cutout will make it easier for the dress to get on and off. And I sewed the skirt with a straight stitch as well. When I made the measurements for the skirt, I forgot to take the 8 inches off the total width of the skirt. So I made the skirt a little bit too big, so here I am actually cutting down the sides of it. And here's what I have so far. It's the skirt with the high front and the low back, and then the bodice. It's coming along nicely. Now I'm making the mock-up for the long bell sleeves. I measured her arms to be about 14 inches and her upper arm to be about 10 inches wide. So here I'm making the shorter part 10 inches, the longer part 15 inches for the seam allowance, and then making an angle cut. here I am making the fur top to the bodice. I went ahead and did this now. That way I could kind of get an idea of what I'm looking at. I measured this to be about 36 inches long and about 4 inches wide, and I doubled it. So I got a tube that's about 3 inches wide and 36 inches long. This extra fur is actually what I used as her rabbit's feet for her Halloween costume this year. I just tea stained it because I didn't want it stark white, and since the original costume is more of a brownish beigeish color, I made it look more like the original design. And that's it. Join me for part 2 next week, and we will be starting on the real dress. Thanks for watching. Share, like, and subscribe.